So I don't know if you heard about this, but there seems to be some beef going down between Snoop Dogg and Eminem, which is very surprising considering that they were on the same pretty much team. I'm kind of hoping that Snoop does a diss track on him because I love me some rap beefs like this, especially between two good MCs. So if we got Snoop and M to go back at each other, man, that's gonna be interesting. Because essentially, if you don't know what happened, Snoop Dogg did an interview and he talked about how Eminem wasn't in his top 10 and that Dre made him the best version he could be and that there's a lot of rappers from the 80s and 90s that Eminem can't fuck with. Now, all that being said wasn't what made Eminem mad. What made Eminem mad is near the end of the interview, Snoop Dogg said, Eminem's music, I could live without that shit. That's what he said. That's disrespectful to say being on the same team as Eminem. There was even an interview years ago where somebody said, Snoop, your new song reminds me of Stan, and Snoop Dogg was mocking the song Stan, making fun of it, and said, I don't listen to no Eminem, I'm motherfucking gangsta. So, it seems I got some beef now, because Eminem did take shots at him on this new album. I'm surprised Eminem took shots at Snoop, that surprises me. But hopefully this leads to some diss tracks, man, because this will be really good. And then after all this, here's what happened. Um, Snoop responded on Instagram with subliminal posts, but I don't know if it was towards Eminem. Then Eminem did an interview explaining why he dissed Snoop Dogg, and it was for the reason I pretty much explained, him saying that, Eminem's music I live without. And then Snoop recently made a reply to an Eminem fan on Instagram saying, pray I don't answer that soft ass shit. This is just crazy because, Dr. Dre is cool with Snoop and Eminem. And for this to go down is just kind of crazy, you know. Um, it's gonna be a crazy beef. I hope something goes down because I love this kind of shit. It's entertaining, as long as it doesn't get to the streets, which I doubt it. Cause Snoop Dogg, he's not really a gangster like that, in my opinion. But as long as it stays to the tracks, I like that kind of stuff. I just, as long as we don't get to a level like Tupac and Biggie where people are getting killed.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg took it a step farther when he talked about that beef because I saw a couple of his posts on Instagram and he said, if if it's pissing people off, that probably means that you're doing the right thing. And he said he was proud of saying the shit that he said. So, obviously I don't know what direction, but I bet you it puts Dr. Dre in kind of an awkward space because he can't really side with either person. But it's been a while since Snoop Dogg's kind of been on a diss song, so I wonder. But yeah, Eminem, he said something on the new album he put out.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, the whole situation. But yeah, I do wonder if Snoop was talking about that on Instagram. Could be, maybe. Um, yeah, I hope we get some diss tracks back and forth. That would be awesome. That would be very interesting. Um, because you know, maybe a beef like this would do something to Eminem to make him put out better music. I don't know, just a thought, but it would be interesting because I like beef as long as it doesn't get personal, like in the streets.
I will also say I'm surprised out of all the people Snoop Dogg could be pissed off at that it would be Eminem. I mean, we've talked about how trap is not one of our favorite things. I'm surprised, out of all the stuff that Snoop Dogg could have complained about that he decided to choose Eminem. So I don't know. I mean, maybe he needs to make a few diss tracks and just kind of, say the first things first kind of stuff.
Yeah, you're right. You're surprised Snoop wouldn't say anything about the other mainstream trap rappers. He did it in the past, but he kind of worked with them even still. He had a diss track. I don't know if it was that Little Wayne, but it was a song called Protocol. It wasn't a bad diss. He also had one at Suge Knight called Pimp Slap. That was alright, but I didn't care. I think the pimpy beat on it just didn't match what a diss song should be. But yeah, I think Snoop should do a diss track. That'd be awesome. You know, like because those are two talented rappers, and seeing them go back and forth, man, that'd be amazing. Maybe Snoop already said some shit about him because I read somewhere online that like even though I'm not really a fan of E40 and Too Short, I do wonder how this is gonna turn out. Apparently E40 Too Short, Ice Cube and Snoop Dogg. Apparently they've been working on a collaboration album, all four of them. So during quarantine, so maybe Snoop said something on there. Maybe Snoop said something on there. I have to wait and see. Maybe he threw a subliminal. But yeah. If I had to guess what Snoop's issue is, I'm gonna say maybe I'm gonna say maybe jealousy. If I had to guess, because Eminem did have more of a successful career than Snoop. Because Snoop didn't like. What I noticed about Snoop Dogg is he didn't really get to do a bunch of albums in the Aftermath label with Dre producing everything. That's what I noticed.
What's up, guys? This is Acid Root. So I'm gonna join Jackal Goldkick with this and kind of talk about the Snoop Dogg and Eminem beef that seems to be boiling here. Now, Jackal Goldkick basically said that from what it came from, he said it'd probably be interesting, and I looked at it for a second and I thought, well, obviously I'm beginning to think that this would kind of be like a Clash of the Titans kind of situation, just because both of them are pretty heralded and they do have like a couple classics underneath their belt. But and I'm just trying. I swear that like Snoop's not the first person to kind of talk about how Eminem. I mean, Royce the 5'9" said something about that also, and that's one of Eminem's like complete affiliates at this point. He said that Royce said that he would choose Doggy Style by Snoop Dogg over anything that Eminem dropped after like Marshall Mathers 2 LP2 or something. There's a comment where Royce the 5'9" said that, where he said that he listened to Doggy Style instead of some of Eminem's newer stuff. And I mean, Eminem's been catching a lot of flack. I mean, he seems to be really losing his footing in terms of what he's done these days. Snoop Dogg hasn't really had that problem. For Jackal Goldkick to say that he thinks Snoop would be jealous of Eminem, I don't know where that comes from on Snoop's part, just because he doesn't really have that many hits to his name. I mean, you think of the best Eminem songs of like the past 5 years. You got songs like Phenomenal, Kings Never Die. I'm just listing some of his, supposed hits. Phenomenal, Kings Never Die, Walk on Water with Beyonce, River with Ed Sheeran, Fall on Off Kamikaze, and then songs like Godzilla and the other one, Darkness. But I mean, none of those are really, to me, must-have Eminem songs. I mean, I would say all of them are just kind of, so it's just like, I don't know if Snoop would be almost jealous of just like the Eminem Show and Marshall Mathers LP, but that's just kind of the thing. I mean, honestly, I think if Snoop were to diss Eminem, he probably would dig up some dirt on Eminem that would just be kind of good. I don't think Snoop Dogg is the better lyricist than Eminem, and if Eminem got mad enough, like he did on Kill Shot, he probably could ultimately do better. But I think Snoop Dogg would probably. I mean, Snoop Dogg, you got to understand that he doesn't really lose his rap beefs. Like Jackal Goldkick had said that he did a song which I didn't know about where he dissed Suge Knight called Pimp Slapped. And then I remember him dissing Easy E on Fuck with Dre Day. And then there was like someone else. Yeah, I think he was just dissing Death Row as a whole. So there were a multitude of records that he had done, but I mean, for the most part, Snoop Dogg just either looked slicker for doing it, or it kind of came out mutual in a sense where this is just a stalemate. So I'm just kind of interested if he were to actually, both of these guys were to take the bait and decide to do it, what would manifest from it. And that just kind of happens to be the thing. I mean, I just am almost curious about. I mean, because I think at first, I mean, it would be a mutual respect kind of situation. I don't think there'd be as much hate and ire and venom as there were in some beefs where they're like, oh no, I want this dude to die. I don't think it's like that. It might just really be friendly competition, which is not that terrible. I think, just for the healthiness of kind of saying that both these guys have been kind of lackadaisical. And then on Eminem's part, where it just seemed like Kill Shot was like his highest charting song in the past 6 or 7 years, and that's kind of the situation that just sparked some venom in Eminem, but it just very off to the side. And with Snoop Dogg, I mean, I think most people have accepted that his charting days are over. I mean, it's the fact that he was charting way out in 2008 and 2010 and with Wiz Khalifa and stuff speaks enough volume. So, I mean, both these guys are past their prime. I would still kind of like to see, just whether or not they could mess around and truly prove that, despite that being said, that they can still, put the smackdown on some of these people. So that just is kind of the thing. I mean, I look at it and it's just kind of, that's just what I've had to say. Uh, Obviously, it just kind of depends upon what happens here. I still need to kind of see what I think about Music to be Murdered by too. I mean, the thing about Eminem albums these days is, I mean, like I said, Eminem is kind of a divisive individual these days because he can't seem to nab like another classic album and such. But I just kind of am curious about why the reception anymore is not just like unanimous, or where everyone says you got to have this is the best song since like Stan, or the best song since Way I Am, something like that, where people are just, that just doesn't happen. I'm kind of losing hope that it's going to. I mean, at least with Snoop Dogg, people say, for the most part, they might say he's never going to drop another Doggy Style, but they're not going to say he can't drop another classic, because some of them, like The Last Meal, was decent. I like that more than I did when I reviewed it. The Blue Carpet Treatment's extremely good. Has Dr. Dre, Nate Dogg, Be Real, all bunch of people on there. And RNG with like the Neptunes flavored, the Pharrell stuff that he did was pretty decent also. So Snoop kind of has it back and forth, but um, you just have to look at it and just kind of, I'm losing the point I'm trying to say here, but yeah, I don't know. So I would just have to say, I think Eminem probably, to kind of bring down like the closing statements on this, I would say Eminem probably makes better albums, or at least he used to. But Snoop Dogg is not one to slip up when it comes to songs, hit songs, and then diss songs. Because at least some recent Snoop Dogg singles I can say that I enjoyed. But Eminem is kind of like, he just has like such a continual divisive attitude. Whereas Snoop Dogg, he at least gets the reception like, yeah, that's a good song, but the album sucks. So it's just kind of, that's kind of the situation. So it should be interesting, just to kind of get some of this stuff and be able to say, um, you know, seeing the venom that'll happen. Because I think it'll definitely be like a tamale in the tailpipe, or a jalapeno in the tailpipe for some of this stuff.